I might.
Welcome to the Unofficial Steelers Podcast, the podcast so unofficial it doesn't have a home. Here's your host, from In Hindsight, Nathan Heitz. From Steelers Nation Australia, Mark Davison. And from State of the Steelers, Daniel J. Here we go.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to State of the Steelers. This is the Unofficial Steelers Podcast. I'm Daniel, alongside with me, In Hindsight, Nathan Heitz. How you doing today, my man?
Doing all right, man. Doing all right. Just having some stuff going on family-wise and everything, and just trying to take care of that kind of stuff. So, going to be a little bit of a busy week, but it's good to be on the show. Feels good to be doing the show and everything, and think we'll be a pretty good one today, guys. Think we're gonna have a good bit to talk about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. Obviously, before we look forward, we always take a peek back at the game before. And the Pittsburgh Steelers pulled out another last-second defensive, turnover type win for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Another heart attack type of game, beating the Green Bay Packers 23-19, ending their three home game streak at 2-1. Steelers are now 6-3 on the year, and with Cincinnati losing last week, and Baltimore being upset by the Browns, who are having their own issues right now with quarterback Deshaun Watson is now out for the season. Steelers kind of look like, they can get their things together, that they're in position to do something. What do you think? Do you think that they're at least in position? Or
they have a good opportunity. I think they have a good opportunity to not just win this game Sunday, but if you can split these two games on the road, that's probably the most ideal. Obviously, winning both, but it's hard to kind of see that happen with back-to-back division games. It's tough regardless. So right now they're in a position of where they can find themselves getting a 7-3 by beating Cleveland. That's obviously a fantastic place to be in. Even if they would lose the next week to Cincinnati and go 7-4, that's still a fantastic spot to be in. This time last year, They were 4-6. So it is obviously, if you're a Browns fan, it's definitely a big blow to the Browns not having Deshaun Watson, him being out for the year. He's had this shoulder injury. He played well in the second half last week against the Ravens, but there's still a lot of questions around him being able to be the quarterback that Cleveland hopes for him to be. So it sets up, looking at how things are right now, not having him, they're going to face the rookie quarterback. Steelers could possibly get Pat Freiermuth and maybe possibly Minka back for Sunday, which would be big. Obviously, this is a favor for the Steelers. This should be a great chance to be able to go into Cleveland and win. But still, Cleveland's got a good defense. It's still a division game at the end of the day. I do not think this is just an easy win for the Steelers now. Cleveland's going to run the ball. Jerome Ford's been running the ball well. They still have a stable O-line. And they, behind the Ravens, probably have the best defense in the division. So it's a good chance for the Steelers. This is something that you really have to take advantage of, winning another division game and going 3-0 against these division games. But it's still, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's an easy win, because it's not.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, the defense for the Cleveland Browns, they're stout. They are good. Myles Garrett is having a great year, even though he usually don't show up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, or at least he hasn't in recent years.
I can't really recall the last time he had like a big game against the Steelers.
Yeah, me either. I mean, Dan Moore's pretty much had his number. I think he's probably going to be moving around. I think that's what he's been doing a little bit this entire season, is moving back and forth. So he might try to manage or see what his luck is against Broderick Jones, who I think is probably better than Chuks Okorafor and Dan Moore. So it may not be the matchup that he's looking for, but I'm sure that he's going to at least try it a few times. And that's going to be the biggest question there, right? Is the Steelers, are they going to be able to do anything offensively? Is this going to be a defensive match? Getting Browns and Steelers where it's going to be something like the first team to get to double digits wins. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
But one of the biggest concerns, and it's kind of going back, into the Packers game, is Quan Alexander out for the year, Achilles rupture.
Mm-hmm.
He's the second inside linebacker in consecutive games to go out with a major injury. And now the Steelers are left with Landon Roberts and Mark Robinson. I know there's Michael Walker on the practice squad. I think that there's a good chance he might be moving on up. I'm a little bit concerned. I'm concerned. And I know Minka, he's thought maybe to be coming back. However, he did not participate today in practice.
Yeah.
That's going to be a mark as well. Fortunately, we talked about that, is the Steelers are going to have to take advantage of the fact that the Cleveland Browns don't have Deshaun Watson, and really force them to make him throw the ball and win the game. That's basically what's going to happen. They're going to have to stack the box. But with that middle linebacker issue, I don't know, if I was the Cleveland Browns, I'd have Njoku running across the middle.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So, but going back real quick.
The Steelers are used to that, man. They're used to putting linebackers in coverage. So what the heck?
Yeah. Do you think Joey Porter Jr. is gonna shadow Cooper?
He probably will. And he'll probably do fairly well, just given, look, I'm not, any given Sunday, I'm not going to you don't overlook any opponent. But given the fact they're probably going to really try to focus in on Jerome Ford, they're going to try to focus in taking away the running aspect to this offense, try to let DFT, because it's not PJ Walker starting, going to try to let DFT try to beat him with his arm. So I have confidence that he's going to do pretty well. Might be a gain here, a gain there, just because Amari Cooper is a higher end wide receiver. But I like the matchup better, just given the fact that you're going to have a rookie quarterback kind of come in kind of more on shorter notice. It's Wednesday now. So you're going to have a rookie quarterback come in on a little bit shorter notice, and Amari Cooper's going to try to want the ball. I think it favors Porter a little bit more with that. So I think as we look at it at the end of the day, I think we'll say, yeah, he did a good job.
Yeah, and to add on to that, this is probably not going to be the most complex of game plans that are going to be coming in. You're probably not going to get very complicated routes. So, it's definitely, right. I can see what you're saying there. It's definitely going to favor.
Yeah, I think that they'll
favor Joe.
Yeah, they'll keep it more basic. They're going to have to switch up their playbook a little bit, their game plan, rather than with what Watson's been doing. It's a complete different atmosphere. So, but still, you don't overlook it at all. You can't.
Yeah.
Division game.
100%.
You don't do that.
And this is going to be a close game. And I think this is going to be a game that's going to be anticipated going down to the wire. And, last week against the Green Bay Packers, the offense came out. It came out, 3 scores in the first 3 drives, put up 17 points. And kind of disappear for a while. The running game was on point. It was there. It just seemed like the passing game never got off. Kenny Pickett threw for under 130 yards. It appeared, he was staring down his receivers. I thought he regressed quite a bit in this game. This was probably his worst game over the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where's the concern level at the quarterback position right now? There's been some very small steps forward, and then like a giant step back. Yeah. In my opinion, it's kind of like what's been going on.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I hear you. Real quick, just gonna do a shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Your comments, Steelers Freak, Mr. Malvo, good to see you, man. Appreciate you back in the chat. Hodge, Afton, Gene, Ron, Steeler Girl, Steelers fan, Jared Devil, of course. So just shout out to you guys who show up and put their thoughts in the chat, and support the channel, the pod. So keep putting your thoughts out there, guys, and we'll try to kind of read over them too, give some feedback on what you guys are talking about. With the concern of the quarterback, it's still the same for me. It's been there all year, and I think we all can really kind of say that. Daniel, you and I both thought this was going to be the Green Bay game was going to be a day for Kenny to be able to not torch Green Bay, but be able to be capable of pushing the ball down the field, being able to get guys like a Pickens or a Johnson in different opportunities, especially against a couple guys, especially not having Alexander, their top corner, in the game, being able to maybe try to scheme those guys open. And there were things there again, there was opportunity there. There were, you can just go back and look at your breakdown, look at some of the stuff on the film that you can look back at. And again, it was one of those things where guys are there and ball's not getting there, et cetera, et cetera. It stays the same for me. My thoughts just kind of stay the same. Like, I appreciate what he does in the fourth quarter. It's nice when things are clicking a little bit with them, but still, man, it's, and I know that, and I understand that a focus was running the ball on Sunday. Clearly, that was their focus. That's what they wanted to get established again, and they did a pretty good job at that. But still, in terms of being able to pick up those third downs, being able to move the ball a little bit more, it wasn't really there. And we both thought it was a good opportunity. Weather was okay. Like I said, it was a more inferior team with Green Bay. They had a couple guys out on defense. So you're looking at like, okay, this is a good chance for him to maybe finally have that game at home. And it didn't happen. And there was just still missed chances, missed just easy pickups, things to be able to keep some drives going. It wasn't there. And it sucks, like, because I think just if he's just doing 90% of the time, hitting the stuff he can control, I think we all would feel a lot better about him. And we would probably recognize there's more holding him back because he's doing his part, but he's not doing his part. More times than not, he's not doing his part. And like I said, I think we all appreciate him in the fourth quarter. He hasn't been turned over the ball, though. There were 2 interception-worthy passes on Sunday, from what I remember. So still, we appreciate those aspects, but we all want to see
and
more.
the fumble.
We all want to see more. Yeah, and the fumble. So we all want to see more, and it's not even the lateral pass, right? So it's not even the fact that, okay, we want to see him coming out throwing 300 yards every week. It's just like, you know, we want to see you hit the stuff that's there. We want to see you just find consistency throughout the game. That's what we want to see. That's what we want to see, and we still haven't seen it yet. So it's definitely concerning. Absolutely. I don't understand why things click for him in the fourth quarter versus things that don't click through other parts of the game. And like I've told you before, Daniel, really at the end of the day, my main message is just how much time do the Steelers give it to start clicking, because even Tomlin said on Tuesday, I believe that he said that we recognize that we need to see more from him. And, you know, he was saying that, you know, him and Kenny's jobs are measured by wins and losses and stuff, which is true. But he admitted too, like, we need to see more stuff. And it's just, it's non-existent right now. Does that mean that it can't ever come? No, of course it can. But how patient will the organization be? Right. That's the whole thing. How patient are you going to be for it to come? And it might not ever come. We don't know.
Right. And for me, you know, going with all that, first, going into this game, I thought this was going to be a good measuring stick as far as who Kenny Pickett is. You know, if he was going to come out and be the same guy that he's been against this secondary, you know, which, you know, when healthy is probably average. You know what I'm saying? Right. But they're missing 3 starters. So that's not an average secondary that he was going. It was a below average secondary.
No, it's not. And that's why we thought it could possibly be his game.
Yeah, and I was confident. I was so confident
we both
that
were.
This was going to be his breakout game. He was my fantasy football quarterback that got me like 4 points.
Got you 6 points, man. Got you 6 points. Heck yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, I honestly did. I thought this was going to be the breakout game. I thought this was going to be where we're going to see something. I thought that the running game for the Packers defense was their strength. So I didn't honestly see that the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to lean on their running game to win this game. And what gives me real optimism, though, or to be really optimistic, is the fact that LaFleur, after the game, knowing that their defense, is run, they're better at the running game, at defending the run, knew that the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to try to run the ball and where they were going to run the ball, but they couldn't stop it. When you have a good defense that's good against the run, knowing you're going to run and you're still able to put up over 200 yards, and that's a good running game to have. I don't think the Packers defense is as good as, the Cleveland Browns defense. I think Cleveland is going to probably give them a little bit more of some issues there, but
they will.
The goal was, if they were trying to stop the run and they put everybody in the box, then Green Bay's goal was to put it in Kenny's hands, and yet the Steelers didn't trust Kenny in that situation because they continued to run the ball. I mean, I would still continue to run the ball. It's working, right? But
of course. But it's at the point you still want your quarterback to be able to do those at least. You want him to at least be able to make the things happen that are there for him. Yeah,
and and to me, it's also like some of the decision making that he's doing. Everybody knows about everybody's been talking about the Deontay Johnson going open. He threw it. It was third down. He threw it to Jalen Warren, and I think it was one of the balls that almost should have been picked off, and it was third down. Ended up being a field goal, and I think on the broadcast they stated that had that Kenny Pickett made his decision to throw that ball before it was snapped because Deontay was coming open.
Yeah.
Even the broadcast had said that. When I go back and look at it from the All-22, and you get the luxury of seeing all the players, what you end up having is you have all of the defenders up on the line, and there's one single safety in the back. You have a depleted secondary and one-on-one coverage with Deontay Johnson, the best route runner in the game, and you throw it down to the flat,
right?
And you never even look that direction,
right? Like why is that?
That's a concern.
It is. And I don't it would be hard for me to believe that they're saying, okay, right as you take this snap, no matter what, Jalen Warren's your guy. That's hard for me to believe that any coach would tell a quarterback, no matter what, right after you take the snap, ball needs to go there. Because if you have okay, you can check that spot, but he had time to let Deontay Johnson do his thing, let that develop and hit his guy rather than just right away swinging into Jalen Warren, which was obviously a mess. So it's just hard for me to believe that a coach would tell him in his ear, or Canada would say something to him. Okay, we're going to run this. Jalen Warren's going to be on the swing pass. You hit him right away. But then that's the thing too. Don't you think that it's a little bit on the quarterback, possibly seeing, okay, look where this linebacker's at right here. He could possibly cover and hit that swing pass right there. Do you see what I'm saying? It's hard for me to believe that they would just tell him to hit that regardless.
Right. And I agree with you, but there's a couple of components to this play that are questioning, or that I question. It's not so much the result of the play. Let's take the result out of it. The fact that Jalen Warren didn't catch the ball, because here's the thing. It was a good decision. There was just a better one outside. And the reason why it was a good decision is because they were playing man coverage, and the person that was covering Jalen Warren was a linebacker that was appearing to blitz. So he was on the line of scrimmage between the edge and between the defensive tackle. He had to loop around and get to Jalen Warren. And so it was a situation where it was advantageous for Jalen Warren. The problem was that Kenny Pickett did a 3.5 step drop back, sat, and then threw, and he has this slow release. By the time he let go of the ball, the linebacker was already there.
It was too
now,
late. Yeah.
Right. Now it's third down, and I understand, it's third down. You want to get the third down, and results. We can't be result oriented. So let's just take the fact out that Jalen drops that pass. if you have a situation, or if you have your quarterback in that same situation where, like I mentioned, you have Deontay Johnson on the outside, best route runner in the game, and his hands questionable maybe, but best route runner in the game, and it's one-on-one coverage, press coverage against a secondary that is injured, and you have single safety over the top. You have that option, or you have the flat to the running back. Which option would you prefer your quarterback to make? Do you want him to, hit the dagger, stand up there with confidence, or you want the check down Charlie who's like, all right, we may have gotten a first down, but let's try to get another first down when
no,
first
dude,
downs
I'm
are
tired of the
extremely
check
difficult.
downs, man. I'd rather just take a shot, man. I'm tired of the check downs.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that was my first issue with it. I was like, once I saw where everybody lined up, first and foremost, and I was just like, this is bad. And the second thing is, if Kenny Pickett notices that this guy's not rushing him and he's going out to cover Jaylen Warren on the flat, that tells me his eyes are on the line and not anywhere else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's another issue.
Well,
and so
it's recurring. It's recurring. It's hard to more times than not, we find it harder to be able to pick out the good, and that's just what is in your 22nd, 23rd start. That's just what the problem is. It's a lot of times when you see the oh man, Brian, it's poop week. Do you want to know the funniest shit? Cleveland had Josh Dobbs on their roster, but traded him away in August.
Yeah,
it is
true.
Poop week, Brian. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So once you look in your toilet, that's who the Steelers will be playing Sunday. You are correct. But to answer, pretty much just adding on to what you're talking about, man. That's the thing. It's when can we watch some film? Like, of course, there's film that's like, okay, this is good, that's good, but where 90% of it's good, right? Where 85% of it's good. When can we start watching that rather than seeing the 30% that's good? And a lot of that's in the fourth quarter. So the Steelers know that. We all know that as fans. I think everybody really has the same conversations at the end of the day when it comes to this topic, because it's a lot of it's rinse and repeat, right? And is there going to be a point in this year? You have 8 games left. Is there going to be a game this year where he has that big game? And we look at that and say, okay, this is what we've been waiting for. Can he do it again another game? Like, is there a couple games he can maybe have a stretch of games where we're seeing that production throughout the game? Or are we just going to get fourth quarter and we're going to get a lot of inconsistency throughout most of the game? And it seems like that's just the trajectory until we see further notice, sadly.
Yeah.
Now, the great thing was we saw the first quarter of the game where they had back-to-back scoring drives, and that was great. They haven't had that all year. It's been a while since they've had back-to-back drives in the first quarter where they've scored, but then after that, it was a complete fall-off. But
I'll tell you why they had back-to-back scoring drives. And nobody's going to want to hear this. But the reason they had back-to-back scoring drives is because it was well scripted. Every play on those drives had no decision making from the quarterback, whether it was a screen when the quarterback had to make a throw, it was either a screen or it was designated for the ball to go in a certain area. They moved him, they cut the field in half. They had him run to the outside and limited a lot of stuff. Now you can do that for a drive or two, but then the defenses in the NFL are going to catch on.
Yeah.
And that's the main reason. Canada wrote up a pretty dang good script to start out the game. And then once they kind of got further away from that script, it faltered.
Sinking ship.
Yeah, which honestly is something backwards that we've seen before. In the past it's been the script that's been poor. However, now, Steelers have Broderick Jones out there. He's finishing blocks. He's getting up to the second level.
Dude, is that not a breath of fresh air?
100%.
Watching Broderick Jones out there.
I mean,
this is exactly why, dude, I do not understand, and I don't think anybody does. The Steelers have now, of course, there's exceptions with some guys we've seen in the past, but the Steelers have a forbidden rule. There is a unwritten forbidden rule of not starting rookies 95% of the time. And why? You look at Joey Porter, you look at Keanu Benton, you look at Broderick Jones. Those three guys right there have been massive improvements ever since they have been given more snaps, and now 2 out of 3 are full-time starters. I know Benton's not fully yet, but why? Like, why is that? Why is that such a thing of where you have, just because they're rookies, but they're outplaying their said teammate at whatever position? You need something different there, spark, but you're not going to do it until later in the season. I don't understand. Other teams do, and I don't think anybody can honestly ever fully answer that, because we've seen it over the years with rookies and rookie picks. Like I said, there's some over the last 10 years, but it's ridiculous. And now you actually have a possible franchise tackle, which you've needed for the last 4 or 5 years. And now you might possibly have a future corner one with Porter. So, and Keanu Benton can be a big impact as well. So they have that going for them, which is great. But yeah, dude, it's like a whole new ball game with Broderick Jones out there.
Yeah. I agree. And, I think that the reason why they took so long is some sort of like morale type of thing. Football justice is what Coach Tomlin calls it. And, they don't want to just give a rookie the opportunity or the ball and let him learn through experience. It's not been, I think, a Tomlin thing. I know it wasn't, a Bill Cowher thing on defense back in the day, but I think that was more to do with Dick LeBeau and how complicated that defense was. With this game and with this team, they put in Broderick Jones and they get 160 yards plus on the ground, 200 yards the next week.
Right.
He's not just doing better than Chuck for. He's making the guys around him better, because he's getting to the second level, and on his way, he's chipping, the defensive tackle. That's giving the pulling guard a cleaner hit or cleaner avenue to their block. And Sayumalu is able to blow that out of proportions, which is why Najee Harris had basically a walk-in touchdown from the 6. I mean, that doesn't happen very often. And so kudos to the Steelers for finally doing it. I think it was the right decision.
Oh, for sure.
It wasn't too late. It wasn't too late.
No, it wasn't. Thank God.
It could have been.
Holy cow.
It could have been.
But, dude,
but fortunately, it wasn't.
Whatever he said, that was a blessing in disguise. I mean, it's nothing personal on him. He's going to find a new home next year somewhere, because they are not going to pay him $13 million to come off the bench, and he is not worth a $13 million salary at all. So
what he had said was,
no way he's coming back.
What he had said was, if the Steelers were down by 10, 2 minutes to go in the game, and I think they had to go like 98 yards, right? Mm-hmm. And they were running run plays, or they called in a run. And he said, if we're going to call run plays, or we're going to do this, the same runs we did in the first quarter, might as well just kneel the ball. I mean, he's got a point, but is that because Matt Canada thinks
coaches don't appreciate that?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But I don't think he understands where he's at.
Huh.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you're at the 2-yard line, you're already getting your tail handed to you. Your quarterback is Mitch Trubisky. I don't think it was, Matt Canada's choice to just run the ball. I'm pretty sure if it was Kenny Pickett in there at that moment, he probably is doing that. So it wasn't the best thing to say, and it may have, lost him the start of that game, the next week, but it was Broderick Jones's play that kept him in the starting position. And you just can't take that guy off the field at this point.
No, not at all. Not at all. And you traded up spots to go get that guy. You need to be playing him. Real quick before we continue on, I'm just going to read some comments here. People are putting in some comments. So I'm going to go up real quick, try to cover some comments. Maybe if we could add on top of what you guys are saying. Let's see. Kenny has at least another year to fully Daredevil assess what he can do, especially if there's news to see. I mean, that's probably how it's going to be, regardless how this year finishes. You know, he'll probably get another year, especially because he was a first-round pick.
It's getting 2 more.
Yeah, the full 4. I think he gets full 4.
What first rounder have the Steelers given up within 4 years? And go back to Jarvis Jones.
Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't happen. And like
they don't give him your 5-year option.
Right. Yeah. Right. So, yeah, and I've said that too. Like, the fact he was a first-round pick, they're definitely going to give him next year, probably 4.
What?
I still think
I said Broderick Jones. I meant Jarvis Jones. Back to Jarvis Jones.
That's what I thought you said was Jarvis.
Yeah, I hope I said Jarvis Jones. I thought maybe I said Broderick. But yeah, going back to Jarvis Jones, Devin Bush, and even Terrell Edmonds, he came back, but it's because nobody else wanted him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we kind of saw against the Titans why the Steelers didn't want him. They abused him in that game. They targeted Terrell Edmonds.
Oh yeah, no, and we saw that up front and center. Yeah,
100%. And so the Steelers have always given their first rounders, 4 years, but here's where they have the I guess the escape clause, and that's with all that was with Kevin Colbert. This is Omar Khan. This isn't his quarterback. Now, I think Coach T has 1 more year in his remaining contract. The Steelers have never fired an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator, as far as I can remember. I doubt they're going to fire the coach. So they're probably. I think Kenny's tied to T. If I think it's going to go into next year, and we're going to find out. They're probably going to give him next year. If this year just doesn't go well, and what I'm saying is they don't win a playoff game. Let's just say they get there, but they just get blown out, 30-7 or something again.
Status quo, right?
Right. I think next year or this offseason, T's not getting an extension, and next year's his last year. And at that point, if it's still the same old, still can't do anything, then I think that's when we're probably going to see a new era in Pittsburgh. And with that, whoever comes in, I would hope is offensive minded. And he's probably not going to want Kenny Pickett as his quarterback at that point.
Right.
Regardless of what he does, he's going to want to bring in his own guy.
Yeah,
I
could see them.
That's where it's at.
No, I agree. Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely see. I know Trubisky's under contract, but I could see. Heck, I wouldn't even be surprised if they even try to find a better backup. Maybe try to push him more. You know what I mean?
I would hope so. Because there's no trust there. There's no trust there with Mitch Trubisky.
No, there's not
at all. I mean, I would say probably 3 out of 4 Steeler fans would rather see Mason Rudolph out there than Mitch Trubisky.
Absolutely, dude.
He's just a turnover machine at the end of the day. At least, Mason Rudolph is just like an older version of Kenny Pickett without wheels. He's not gonna wow you or anything like that, except he does have a deep ball. I think maybe that's the difference. Kenny Pickett has the back shoulder pass. He is, I would say, almost elite with that pass. With George Pickens, with Deontay Johnson, he can throw that ball. Leading receivers, I think he has a problem with. He got Calvin Austin in the Vegas game where he led him and he went up and got it and touchdown. I think the rest of them have been inaccurate, these deep throws, and a few of them to Calvin Austin where he had his guy beat, pretty much the same play, and Kenny in 2 times underthrows it. 1 time it gets picked by the Houston Texans, and it's just we've seen that. And this past game and passes where he needed to put it in front of the receiver, it's not there. And I don't know why. I think it's his. I think it's his release. I don't like his release. His release is so slow. It's painfully slow, and he's got a big windup, and is it because of the arm strength that he has to get a lot of velocity and a lot of torque to get that velocity into it? I think that might be it, but there's many times where he's just having to really put it out there, and I think that's probably having some to do with it. But can he be at least the top 17 quarterback in the league? And with this rushing attack, and if this defense can get an answer at the middle linebacker position, is that good enough to make some noise?
I think it comes down to him, man. I really do. Because he's getting help running the ball, where some of that's off his shoulders. They're not always in those 3rd and long predicaments, at least the last 2 games. And that's helping. But again, like, it's on him to be able to hit the things 90% of the time that are in his control, and he's not doing it at the consistent basis he needs to be. So I think it's more on him, and I think it's translated to more on him. I'm going to continue on with just some other comments here so we can tackle what some people are saying here. Kenny needs to make the routine plays, but a winning record is the only stat that matters right now, and it does. And we see even after the Steelers win, people aren't happy, people aren't satisfied, and I get it. You're not winning, and you're winning ugly every game. It's coming down to the wires. You're not finding production throughout most of the game. Offensively, I get it. I absolutely get it. And I think everybody should be glad the Steelers 6-3. This is just how they are. Regardless of how good or how mid the Steelers are, they find ways to win. They don't have a losing record. That's just how they are. And that's just how they've been doing things. So I hear those people. I get it. Let's see what else. Saying, Claude, what's up, man? Appreciate you tuning in. Good to see you. Let's see here.
But you know who did step up, and I want to get your opinion on it, and maybe perhaps what your thoughts are. Patrick Peterson. I thought he stepped up huge in this game. I think he's probably one of the main reasons why this team ended up being victorious. He had the block kick that forced block extra point that forced Green Bay to have to go for a touchdown at the end of that game. And he ended up being the guy that tipped the ball that went to Keanu O'Neal for the interception, for one of the 2 red zone interceptions on the 2 final drives for the Steelers there to close out the game. I thought he did well. I think that he's getting more comfortable with the team. I think Minkah Fitzpatrick is going to have to, this team's going to be in trouble until Minkah Fitzpatrick comes back. The communication aspect is going to be a huge issue, especially now that you have Quan Alexander out, Cole Holcomb out. Those were the 2 guys that were the green dot. Landon Roberts is probably going to be wearing the green dot from here forward. He wasn't even the second inside linebacker primarily used at the point where Quan Alexander got hurt. He was mainly the 3rd rotational guy. And the guy next to him is going to be Mark Robinson. So the middle linebacker crew, there has to be some communication there. I think the communication aspect is going to be where this defense has their problems. Now, Minkah Fitzpatrick apparently in the last game was he, I guess, called a audible for the defense and got on to Terrell Austin. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
And he ended up, I guess, having a big part to do with why the ball got intercepted. We need him back on the field.
Yeah, I mean, what did you think that says anything about the defensive coordinator at all? Because really, when you look at the Steelers' defense's numbers, it's one of the worst in the league.
What's that?
I said, do you think that says anything about Austin? Because and even if you look at the Steelers' defensive numbers this year, they're one of the worst defenses in the league.
Dude, I'll be honest, I'm not a Terrell Austin fan. This defense has had, number 1 draft, first round players, highest paid defense, stars across the board. and struggle at third and longs and
Mhm.
have come up questionable in certain times, throughout the last couple of years. And it just seems like for instance, if one of them goes down, whether it's a TJ Watt or if it's a Minka Fitzpatrick, the defense suffers, even though they have so many players around them that are number ones. And we're seeing that without Minka out there, well, there's a lot of question marks in the secondary. Levi Wallace, he probably should be sitting. I mean, the guy, he wasn't very good this, against the Packers
Right.
either.
Right.
You have to, when you lack in performance like that with Levi Wallace or even with speed, right? You have slower guys that are out there. Everybody but Rush runs a 4.5, and up. I think you even probably got some 4.6 guys. Levi Wallace is a 4.6 guy.
Yeah.
So when you don't have that, you have to be able to communicate and you have to have solid sound, technique. Everybody has to be on the same page. And right now, with the middle linebacker position in dire need and Minka out, that's going to be hard. It's going to make it difficult. Fortunately, the Steelers have, a rookie quarterback on their hands. Tomlin usually does pretty well against rookie quarterbacks. And, a team that their strength is running the ball. So you already know kind of more or less what they do and what they're going to do. So you can at least scheme for that. But
Right.
it's one thing about knowing it and another thing about stopping it too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and we all know that. A lot of times before games when we come on here, we talk about certain things that we know they need to do. They know that, and it doesn't end up happening. So, yeah, Randy Pat Pete, got to give him. He's gotten a lot of crap this year, but he's made some big plays. He stepped up, made really two big plays on Sunday. Steelers number one in defensive turnovers. Yep, their turnovers have definitely been a big aid in winning their games. Winning turnover battle plus win time possession. Yep. Let's see here. My fear is they have the same situation with Mac Jones starting the 3-year process all over again. They had no insurance plan. It's hard. It's hard it's hard drafting quarterbacks, and we all know that.
Mm-hmm.
After after they have a couple years, 3 years, you can look back and say, oh, they shouldn't have done this, shouldn't have done that. You look at it like that, but it's hard. It's hard. It's not easy to find top tier 1 type quarterbacks. I think it's a little bit easier. I think we've seen a little bit over the last few years. It's maybe a little easier to find some guys that end up being solid or above average, stuff like that. But really finding those really special players, it's hard to find. So, it's tough, man. It's tough. Can he trust the line? Yep. But yeah, that's why they keep going back. Yep. So will they get some of those turnovers again on Sunday with a third string quarterback pretty much playing? Will they be able to actually stop their run game? We know that that's probably going to be a big focal point for Cleveland, but like what Daniel said, it's a big thing of knowing that versus doing that. The linebacker position we all know is very suspect right now. Having 2 injuries like that absolutely sucks. Quan Alexander, Cole Holcomb were actually playing some pretty good football for the most part throughout the year. It was definitely an upgrade over what they had last year, what they were doing. Absolutely it was. Even with those 2 in there, we know it's still probably not where it needs to be, but they were definitely good additions. So it sucks they're both going to be out. Quan Alexander's been an injury-prone player as well. He had an Achilles issue a couple years ago. So we'll have to wait and see. I don't know if they're going to try to maybe use Keanu Neal a little bit up there. If Minka Fitzpatrick comes back,
he's dealing with a rib.
Really not sure. So, well, there you go. He's hurt himself too. So, these guys play one day a week for a couple hours, and there you go. So, it's freaking ridiculous. So I don't know. I don't know what their full answer is going to be at linebacker. I really don't know. But this is an opportunity for Mark Robinson too. This is an opportunity for him. They liked what they saw a little bit from him last year. He found himself playing more in games toward the back end of the season last year. So this is a new opportunity for him. There's somebody said that they thought that he was going to be, I forget who it was. I think it was a former Steeler player that I read the other day, that they think that Mark Robinson will end up being a little bit of a similar player like Vince Williams. Maybe that's possible. I hope so. Vince Williams, I thought, was a special player for that any team would love to be able to have. But
I
this
think it
is a
was
good
Vince
chance
who
for him.
said that.
Was it him? Okay. So if you can get another Vince Williams type guy on your team, I mean, that's great. Vince Williams was a dog.
I will say this about Mark Robinson. He had on one play some great pursuit, great burst, and hit on the guard as the running back passed him and went for big yards. But that hit on the guard was impressive. I don't know if you remember. He just kind of swooped around and
I'll
just
probably have to look back at it.
And boom, and he hit the guard, and the guard kind of went back, and I was like, dude, that's the wrong guy.
I would not want to be in his way. I definitely would not. I know that guy can hit. So I don't know. You know, he might end up. It might end up being. I mean, of course, you don't want to lose those two guys, but sometimes when you have Marcus Allen time, oh god, Miles Jack's available. Geez, I think that they'll just end up sticking with what they got for the rest of the year, man. I don't think they're even. I don't think they're gonna go out and bring anybody in. I really don't. I think it's too late in the year. But it's a good chance for Mark Robinson. I'm actually excited a little bit to watch him. I think there's some upside, at least from a little bit of a glimpse we were able to see. So it might end up being one of those things, like, not that you want to lose Holcomb and Alexander, but sometimes there's things like that have happened with certain guys that really all they've needed was an opportunity. And not that it was a blessing, but it ended up being, it ended up paying off a little bit in terms of losing whoever you lost due to injury. And you're able to have that next guy step up and you can actually see what you have in him. Hope having to play the Browns rookie quarterback should help Steelers middle defense. It should. You would think that they're probably going to try to keep DFT more so game management. Don't turn the ball over. Try to run and set yourself up for opportunity there to be able to push the ball a little bit. But it's going to be pretty sad if DFT ends up having a pretty good game against them.
I think it's DRT.
DRT. I don't know why I kept saying DFT. Dorian Robinson.
Like Dallas, Fort Worth.
Yeah, Fort Worth. Yeah, Fort Worth, Texas.
Let's do a couple of games here real quick before we call it a show. This first one kind of tying back to a bunch of the players that have been playing, not including rookies, because this is their first year. But I'm gonna spew out some names. You tell me if they get a second contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers or not. Let's start it off. Let's go with Dan Moore. He gets a second contract. Oh wow, and he took off. Me personally, I think that if Dan Moore can transition to the right side, and I think they want Broderick Jones to be on the left side. I think that's the game plan. That's the goal. Me personally, I think that's where the Pittsburgh Steelers end up going. He ends up getting a second contract if he can move to the right. Well, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, sorry, I accidentally exited out. It's definitely possible, and not out of a way of like, because this is next year's his last year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's possible, like you said, if they decide to move him to the other side, see how he adapts there, because he's not their future left tackle. He's not. If they end up making that move in the offseason, going in next year, seeing how he does.
Oh, no, this year's his last year.
This is the last year he's going to be a free agent next year?
Yeah, he was, 20, 21, 22, 23, yeah.
Okay. Oh, geez. If he's a free agent, I think they'll bring him back. I think that they'll.
Or was he drafted in 21? Let me know in the comments section.
I swear it was 21.
I'm going to have to look this up.
I think he was drafted in the same draft Najee and Freiermuth were drafted.
He could have been. Yeah, he was in the 21 draft. My bad. Yeah,
all right,
21.
So he's got one more year.
So he's got one more year.
So it's possible. I'm gonna say it's more likely he does. I'm gonna say it's likely he does versus him not getting one.
I agree. Jaylen Warren, You're getting another contract for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think he was an undrafted rookie, so his contract, he doesn't have to wait like 4 years. I think undrafted rookie contracts are like 2. So he might be a free agent here pretty soon.
Yeah, no, they'll definitely bring him back. They got to bring him back.
What about Najee?
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say they don't because his 5th-year option, I don't think with his value of or his volume of production that they're going to want to pay him what the 5th-year option price would have to be, and giving him an extension. I think that they'll probably look at, okay, we can probably have a better, cheaper option because Najee's not this top tier running back in the league. So I think that they'll probably just look at cheaper option, to be honest with you.
I agree with both of those things. I think that Jaylen Warren is definitely going to be coming back. I don't see Najee surviving, getting that 5th-year option. If he ends up not getting something outside in free agency, kind of like a Terrell Edmonds type of deal where nobody is biting, maybe I can see him coming back, on a cheap deal type of thing. Yeah. But I don't see him signing up for that 5th-year option. What about George Pickens?
I'll say yeah. I'm gonna say so. I think that long as he's getting the ball, yeah, I'll say so. I think that he's gonna end up being the Steelers' top receiver for a little while, and he's only in year 2. He's probably gonna get over 1,000 yards this year. I'm gonna say yeah. I think he's too dynamic of a player, I think, and his ceiling is. He has a lot. He can be a special player, and I don't think they're going to let that go just because he gets frustrated and pissed off.
I'm going to say it depends. It depends on if the team is winning or not. He had a full scholarship to, I want to say it was like Auburn or some other college as well. George Pickens is, or Alabama, and he said that he felt that he went to Georgia because they can win a championship. If this team isn't in contention for a championship, I can see him not wanting to be with the Steelers and being in a place where he can win.
Yeah, well, you don't know where the team's going to be by the time he's in his 4th year. So if we're going to base everything off of currently right now, I'm going to say yeah.
Yeah, true story. I think that the Steelers are going to try to do their best to keep him. I think he is a talent that I think he could very well be the next Randy Moss in probably both good and bad ways. Randy Moss took a couple of plays off and he was upset. He was visibly upset. Yeah. I think that that's where we could be with George Pickens. He has an amazing talent. It's undeniable. It's uncanny the way he can just pluck the ball out of the air. But then there's the bad side to it. There's the diva. There's the tantrum so far that we've seen, and it's not just been here recently. I mean, it's been when referees have thrown flags towards him, and he's gotten personal fouls, which were his fault, and he still has done his things. I think that he's very young and he's going to mature, and with that, I do think he ends up getting a second contract. What about Kenny Pickett? That's the big one.
As of right now, no, as of right now, no. So, like, I'm whatever names you're giving me in terms of where the Steelers are at currently, and if that's going to be the trajectory, that's what I'm based off, because we don't know how they're going to be next year. We don't know how player production is going to be next year. If guys are going to get better, if guys are going to get worse. So, in terms of just current trajectory, no, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think so. I think that if he doesn't turn it up, and I mean it has to be marginal. I mean, huge. It's got to be a big jump. Not going from maybe throwing 150 to 180 yards a game to throwing 190 to 210 isn't going to cut it. You know what I'm saying? I want to see about 250 to 280 yards a game. I want to see 23 to 25 touchdowns a year. I mean, I don't think that's over asking. Right now he's on pace for what? We're hoping he gets double digits.
Dude, it's like he has the same stats as last year.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just
oh my God.
Yeah, I mean that's where we're at this point. You know, we're definitely going to have to see a huge improvement, and at how slow he's been developing, I don't see a huge improvement just falling out of the sky.
No, yeah, it's not it's not there right now. I never like to write off anybody when it comes
Mhm.
to sports, or especially like guys on your favorite team, like who probably should be better than what they are. Like Bud Dupree, somebody who I think we all probably wanted gone after year 3, year 4, and then he finally turned it up for a couple years, and we wanted him to come back. So just making an example of that, like you just never know if how much better somebody's going to play, like the following year, et cetera, et cetera. Um, so that's why, like, we're just kind of talking where things are at
Mhm.
right now. So, like, it could
Yeah.
change. Like, who knows, dude? Like, what if Kenny comes next year? Uh, they make changes, whatever, and ends up, having a pretty solid year 3. Like, who's to say that that is impossible to happen? Of course, that's possible to happen, but
Right.
we just don't really have the confidence level of it happening, right?
Yeah. You know, and my biggest fear is Daniel Jones. You know,
Mhm.
Kenny Pickett has one good year and then regresses back to what he's been for a few
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
years.
Yep.
You know, that's where
Yeah,
I'm
they're
like,
stuck, man. Giants are stuck with that crap.
mhm. And
So,
I do have a poll going on. Let me see where it's at right now. Um, who would you rather see if Kenny was out, Mitch or Mason? We're seeing at 89% Mason to 11% Mitch right now. It's still going to
what
continue
was
to
the
go on,
question?
but
What was the question?
if Kenny was out, if Kenny wasn't playing, who would you rather see, Mitch or Mason? You know,
Uh,
I had said that probably 3 out of 4. You know, would rather see Mason, and Mr. Malibu had put on there, no, not speak to for the masses. So I
right,
wasn't. I put out the
right.
poll, see what it is. You know, it's 9 votes. I think it's okay, 10 votes. So it's 2 Mitch to 8 Mason at this point.
Right. Well, that doesn't
That's
surprise me.
yeah. That's what, 1 out of 4.
Yeah.
Two to
Malvo,
8.
I'm not saying Kenny's going to be anything next year. I said, why is it an impossible thing to happen for him to not be good next year? Who's to say that for literally any player in the NFL that their career is over come year 2? Who's to say that for any
That's
player?
true.
You
No,
you cannot
you're
say that for
absolutely
any
right on
player in
that.
the league, dude. Like, I'm gonna cheer for him and root for him, but I'm in a state of reality like everybody else. Who's saying Kenny's good,
Yeah.
dude? Where did Daniel or I say Kenny's good? Explain that to me. I don't You can like Mitch all you want. We don't really care for him. Right now, we don't really care for Kenny either. So where are we saying he's good? Seriously, just
I mean,
relax, dude. It's not that serious.
Brett, I honestly, me personally, I don't care for the quarterback room at this point. You know,
Yeah.
there's
Not
not,
not one
eh,
time on this show did we say Kenny was good.
but you
He's
know, just
not.
kind of talking about the quarterbacks though, Nathan. Um,
Okay, sorry,
you
man.
know,
I
outside of
misread you.
Ben, yeah,
Yeah, good.
outside of Ben, you know, the Steelers have drafted a few quarterbacks. Joshua Dobbs seems to be the only quarterback that was drafted by Coach T that has some potential, right? Mason
Yeah,
Rudolph was a first round graded QB, supposedly.
yeah,
And Kenny Pickett obviously was a first round graded QB. And the
yep,
Steelers had other QBs out of their draft ready to go if Kenny Pickett was out. So they had a first round grade on other QBs out of
right.
Kenny's class. Do you think it's just a possibility that Mike Tomlin can't, you know, assess the quarterback position?
It's possible, like, and he's not the only coach. There's a lot of coaches out there
Right.
that are just that they have a struggle assessing positions. They have a struggle assessing certain players, certain development, scouting issues. So he's not the only one. But that's definitely
Mhm.
possible. The thing with Josh Dobbs is like, dude, like he didn't really become something until this year, and he got drafted in 2017.
Yeah.
So like the Steelers weren't going to keep Dobbs all those years because like they drafted him, just they needed some help at that position because Ben was still here. He was never
Yeah.
drafted to be anything really, but I'm happy for him. He's a good dude. He's a smart guy, and it's really awesome to see him doing well with Minnesota, what he was doing with Arizona. And maybe that this could be just something like, hey, he's making a career for himself. So it's just one of those things.
I think
we're not going to hold on to him.
right. I think the jury is still out on Josh Dobbs for me. I wasn't impressed while he was a Pittsburgh Steeler in the moments that he did play. I thought he had, his biggest upside was obviously his smarts. I just felt that his accuracy was not there. I thought that he could probably understand an offense and run an offense, and he's had his moments, but accuracy wasn't there majority of the time for when I saw him. And can that get better? Can that get better? Who knows? I know that what he won against Dallas when he was with Arizona, but outside of that, I think he lost every other game. So I think he went 1-5. Now he's with a new team.
There were some games he was starting to kind of climb down a little bit, where he was struggling. He was turning the ball over. But he kind of has a little bit of a fresh sense of life with Minnesota. He's kind of rejuvenated him, so you got to give credit there. But like the Steelers weren't going to hold on for him all those years,
No,
they weren't going to do that. They traded him Jacksonville for a late pick. He came back for a year or for however long, and it's like, hey man, like they still had Ben. We're gonna put you somewhere else so you have a new opportunity. That's pretty much what it is. And yeah, Malvo, like I didn't want you to think I was saying one thing and saying the other. So yeah, no, it's all good. I didn't see you replying, so that's on me. I didn't want you to think I was saying two different things at the same time. But yeah, dude, it's tough. It's tough. And I'll be honest with you, there's a couple quarterbacks I really like. I like Michael Penix out of Washington a lot. He's a lefty, but I like him a lot, man. I think that he's could possibly win the Heisman. And I think that he's got a good at least from what I've watched. He's got an arm. He's able to read the field. He's got legs. To me, he's got what the modern day NFL quarterback needs to have. And I like that a lot. And I respect that. I don't think that this is a quarterback draft class, and you guys can let me know in the comments what you guys think about the draft class this year. I don't think that this is a quarterback draft class like maybe some other people might think, like, oh, there's a handful of guys. I think really there's only a couple. Caleb Williams, Penix, however you want to pronounce his name, out of Washington. And then, maybe there's a couple, that could end up being that could end up being average or above average. But it's just hard though, man. It's hard to find. We all, after Ben, we all would love to be able to be in a Chargers position where your guy left and then you found your next guy, right? Or like the Packers, Favre, Rodgers. It's just so hard. It's so hard. And you look at Kansas City, other than Mahomes, Kansas City did not. Who was their last really good quarterback? Joe Montana?
I mean, Alex. Well, yeah. Well, Alex Smith wasn't
I know
bad.
Alex Smith there, but Alex Smith was just more game manager. He was more game manager.
Yeah.
He was more taking care of the ball. Yes, he helped them, but like he helped them win games. He took them to the playoffs. But you get what I mean. We should have tried. What's up, Mark? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Appreciate you tuning in, man. We hope you come back on the show before the season ends. But you see what I mean? Though? Like it's so that's what I mean. If the Steelers are gonna have, and that's what I mean. Like Alex Smith wasn't a bad quarterback, but I mean like really that tier 1 quarterback, right? The Chiefs have not had that since probably Joe Montana. So at least from what I can remember. But what was I saying? Oh yeah. So in terms of like if the Steelers or if us or if like let's say that really just where Kenny's at right now, okay, he finishes the year where he's at, stuff like that. If they decide to have any type of conversation on that, there's at least a few names there I think that could intrigue people. Let me just leave it at that. I think there's a few names there that could intrigue people. So I'm not saying what they should do versus what they shouldn't do right now. Because the offseason is still a ways away. And I think really once everything settles in, how the season ends, Bo Nix is probably somebody that will go in the first round. But with him, like, I don't really see quite the mobility there. I think he's got a little bit of a strong arm, but sometimes Oregon quarterbacks scare me a little bit. Justin Herbert, different level. I don't think Bo Nix is on that level, but I don't write off anybody. I don't write off any rookie, any incoming quarterback. I don't. Because I'm not a professional quarterback evaluator, but at least just from what I watch, there's at least a few guys I think that are interesting. Hold on.
Oh man, I would send you the link, Mark, but I think we're going to jump off here in probably about 5 minutes, my man.
Yeah. Shadir Sanders. Yeah, Malvo says Shadir Sanders. Yeah, he's still interesting. I just don't know if he's going to enter the draft this year. I don't know if he's going to enter the draft or not.
apparently when Oregon played Colorado, Steelers had full staff there at that game. People were wondering who they were looking at. Shadir Sanders, Bo Nix, maybe. But then I'm concerned because they were the only scouts and people there too.
Right. Yeah. So like, why is one team out of 32 there?
Right. Like there's no, maybe they're the only ones that see something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Mark, next Wednesday, man, we've been doing Wednesday shows. So if you're available next Wednesday, you can come on. We can talk about the Steelers Browns game, everything like that. But like, and this is what I'm gonna say. Like, I'm glad the Steelers are 6-3. Like, I'm not a fan that like when the Steelers win, like I'm still miserable. I still appreciate them winning. I still appreciate them making plays in the fourth quarter defensively, or when all right, Mark. Yes, Wednesday. We'll message you whatever time we all decide to do.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, so it'll be good to have you back on, man. But what was I gonna say? Like I appreciate them winning. I appreciate them closing out games. I appreciate the defense turning over the ball, being one of the top teams in sacks. I appreciate when the offense does do well in the fourth quarter. So I'm not like a miserable fan where the Steelers win and I'm just still not happy. You know, like I still appreciate their win. I'm still glad that they win because at the end of the day, we want them to. What kind of fan is that where you don't want them to do well? Like what is that?
Right.
You know,
right.
It's not
exactly.
Like, of course you want them to do well. But like I'm also with other people in the sense where you just want to see better quality play. You want to see more not just escaping by the skin of your teeth in the fourth quarter. And not saying that like of course you're going to have games like that. But you just want to be able to see some more consistency. I want to see some more consistency. We know what we all want to see more from Kenny. We know what we want to see more in the sense of like what we wanted to see with them running the football. Now they're starting to do that more. So that's just kind of like me. Like I appreciate them winning. I'm glad they do. But all of us, at least certain games, we want them. We want them to be able to put together more than what they have been. I want to see the Steelers win.
100. Yeah, I do too. Man. I mean, you know,
that would be amazing, dude. That would be amazing.
That would be. But you know, like I said, I mean, I was confident in this game. You know, I thought Kenny was going to have a game.
Yeah,
I selected him as my quarterback for fantasy, and he's no longer on my team anymore. But for that, well, hey, he's not even benched. He wasn't even benched. He's removed for a tight end.
Removed. Yeah, no, just removed, man. No, you and I were both confident. We thought that this could have been it.
Yeah,
so,
no, for
sure. How funny would that be if Clevland pops off? Like that's like his big game.
I mean,
wouldn't that be amazing?
It'd be amazing. You know, I would be excited. I want my team to do well. I want my team to be in the Super Bowl.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
I mean, who doesn't?
I want to tell all the, you know, I live in Texas. I want to laugh at the Cowboy fans and point at them and say, we got 7 now. You know, you still got 5.
Ain't right, sticking at 5, ain't sticking at 6, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, if he pops off and he turns a corner, I'd be ecstatic. You know,
no,
it's just,
I think really mostly everybody wants the guy to do well, right? It's just just how long, you know, it's we're just seeing kind of really a lot of the same things, and it's just getting tiring, you know. And
you
want to see more here, a little bit more there, right? So it's not a matter of the fact them not winning or that them winning versus not winning. It's you want to see your young quarterback develop. That's what you want to see,
right?
I think that's really the main thing most people want to see. Whether that's Kenny, whether that's a quarterback down the line if they go in a different direction once his contract's up. Nothing. Steelers Freak says nothing would make me feel better than admitting I was wrong about Pickett. Yeah, I hear you, man. You know, there's a lot of doubters right now. I'm sure he hears it, he feels it. I'm sure. So
I email him my video breakdowns. Just kidding.
But yeah, so we can do our game predictions real quick if you want. You guys, let us know in the chat. Give us your predictions, guys, your score predictions. If anything, any touchdown predictions. Is there anybody going to be getting or multiple touchdowns on Sunday? Yeah, Claude, I hear you, man. You know, I think we all hope that at the end of the day. But Daniel, you can start. You can give me your overall prediction on the game on Sunday.
Well, first let's do our over-unders, and then the last one will be
we can do that
prediction. So I have 5 of them, and then we'll call it a show. So the first one is Kenny Pickett yards. 200 is the line. He's throw over 200, under through 200.
I'm gonna go under, man. I think they're just gonna try to run the ball again.
I'm going to agree with you. I said under as well. I don't think he hits the 200 mark. I think that they're going to try to control the game on the ground.
Yep.
Kenny Pickett touchdowns through the air, 1.5.
I'm gonna go under.
So far, the same as well for me. I think he does get one. I just don't see this team ever being like, this team lacks a couple of things. They lack getting going in the beginning. And if they do, then they lack the ability to keep the foot on the gas. Yeah. And, when it's come to them doing well beginning, the other team just usually comes back. And I think if Kenny throws a touchdown, they're able to control the ball on the ground. I just don't think that they're going to give him the opportunity for him to throw an interception.
Yeah, he's not. It's not going to happen.
Rushing yards, total for the team, 160 rushing yards, over or under.
I'm going to go under, man. I respect Cleveland's defense. I do. I respect their linebackers. I'm going to go under. I'm going to say under.
I'm also going under. I think Cleveland is going to try to make Kenny Pickett beat them. Yep. They see what everybody else has been seeing. They know that there's a deficiency there. I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing a lot of cover 2 zone. That's been what kind of has been killing Kenny Pickett for the most part, as far as his ability to read cover 2 and or to hit.
Somebody mentioned earlier in the chat, people got a lot of tape now on him, and it's a reality. It's true. So it's not like how some of the things were earlier on last year. You got 23 games worth of footage.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say under. I do think they get probably somewhere around 130 range, 125.
Yeah,
I do
think
they're going to
break over 100, but I don't think it's going to be as big as the last 2 weeks.
But TJ Sachs, he hasn't been doing well here in the last couple of weeks, but 1.5 is where he's at. He usually does well against the Browns.
I'm going over, baby.
It seems like you're copying my score sheet here.
Yeah, dude. We're gonna get every single one right. TJ's at least gonna have 12 sacks by the end of the game on the season. I think he's at 10.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna at least be sitting at 12. I think I don't know if DeJuan Jones. I think he's out, isn't he? I think he's been injured.
I think so. Yes,
the right tackle.
I think so.
So yeah, I think I think that he's gonna get DRT. I got it right that time on his back at least a couple times.
Yeah, 100%.
Randy's prediction tomorrow. Before just a little quick one for once we get into it. He says Steelers are going to win 5-3.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Chris Boswell, game-winning field goal, man. Game-winning field goal.
And, so they were down, 3-2 going into the fourth, make a field goal so that they have another fourth quarter comeback.
Yeah, dude. Fourth quarter Kenny, man.
Makes sense. Defensive turnovers. How many times are the Cleveland Browns going to give the ball back to the Steelers? 1.5 is the line.
This is just total turnovers.
Total turnovers, interceptions, and fumbles.
1.5. I'm gonna say over, man. I think our defense is gonna come out, and I think that they're gonna take a little bit what they did toward the end of the Green Bay game. They know they're facing a rookie quarterback. They're gonna try to take advantage of that. I think that they have guys on their defense, even though their defense has been a struggle in different categories this year. I think that they're really going to try to shake this rookie quarterback, this third string quarterback. I really do. I
agree with you, and we are the same across the board. I went over as well in the defensive turnovers.
First time.
Yeah. The first time we I think a couple of times we've been completely opposite.
Yeah.
And so this is the first time that we end up 100% agreement. Now, time for the picks. I'm going to say the Pittsburgh Steelers end up winning this game. I like Tomlin against rookie quarterbacks. I think that, Myles Garrett has been controlled by the Pittsburgh Steelers offense in the past. Their offensive line has done well against him. And I think there may be a little bit of air knocked out of the ball, so to speak, in Cleveland with the news of their $246 million guaranteed $1 million quarterback, who out of 36 games eligible or 38 games eligible in this year, and last year has only played 12.
Yeah,
he is out.
It's not good. It's not good. If I was a Browns fan, I'd be frustrated. I would.
Yeah, I would too. Put your scores and your predictions in the live chat. I'm going with 24-12. Pittsburgh Steelers win.
Wow. Okay. All right. So this is now. Do any of those touchdowns that you have on the board come from the defense?
There's a good possibility that there's at least one. I do think, though, in the last couple of years, I keep saying years. I don't know what's wrong with me. In the last couple of weeks,
it's felt like
Najee Harris. Yeah, it has. Najee Harris and Jalen Warren have both scored a touchdown on the ground. I can see that happening again. The Steelers getting close, put their big guys up in there and let them go to work. It's going to be against a bit tougher of a defense there, but I think that's going to be the game plan once they get in the red zone. Lean on your running back. So I think that they're probably going to get two. I can see Kenny Pickett throwing one. Throughout the game, I think that the defense is going to do really well against this rookie quarterback who's just kind of been thrown in there. And, he was the third stringer, I think. Up to this,
and he's not going to get a full week, man. He's not going to get a full week to be able to get himself ready.
Yeah, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. What's your score prediction? Who's winning? And give everybody your final thoughts so we can let them all go.
Steelers are going to win. They're going to win 21-14. That is going to be my prediction. We're going to see a pretty stout job by the defense. I think Browns, maybe they might get an extra score, maybe in garbage time or something at the end of the game. But I think that they play pretty stout. We all know Tomlin's track record against rookie quarterbacks, especially when you have a third-string rookie quarterback coming in on more of a shorter notice having to play. Because I'm sure that Watson was probably getting some MRI stuff, talking to doctors over the last day or two. So there was probably uncertainty there going on who was going to be the quarterback. So yeah, 21-14. I say Steelers win. Still, I still, like I said, I respect the Browns defense. I don't think we're going to see anything crazy from Kenny. Steelers are going to try to run the ball again, but I think that we're still just going to kind of see just flatness on offense at certain points. I hope I'm wrong, but I think we're going to see some flatness on offense again. We're going to see a couple good drives, like we usually do each week, but it's still going to be flat. There's probably going to be some missed opportunities that we see every week. But this is how they win, man. This is how they've been winning the last couple years. And I think it's just going to continue. And you know what? It's okay, because we all want them to win at the end of the day. We all know, as we talked about, we want them to be able to put together more than what they have been giving. But hey, whenever you beat the Browns, it's a good day, right? It's a good day. So, anybody else in the chat, real quick before we hop off here, put your predictions in the chat, your score. You guys can follow me at In Hindsight here if you have not. Daniel and I do these lives on Wednesday. I try to put out content best I can. Sometimes it's hard to with certain stuff, but I should be able to start trying to get it a little bit more consistent than not. So, but yeah, we'll see, man. I think this is still a game the Steelers cannot overlook just because you got a third string quarterback. Got to recognize AFC North football. It's a division game. It's always a big game when you're playing a division game. They have a chance to go 3-0 in their division, a chance to go 7-3 and put themselves in a really good position. And they're able to, what was the other thing I was going to say? I was going to say something else. I can't remember. But anyway, they have a good opportunity and they have to stay humble. You can't overlook this crap. And I usually in division games, I don't think they do. I think we usually see that more in non-conference games or, stuff like that, where it's a cheap opponent or something like that. DTR starting, man. He's starting, which they've been starting PJ Walker, so I'm kind of surprised not starting him, but oh well, it is what it is. But yeah, I think most of us probably think they'll probably be 7-3 by 4:30 on Sunday.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they will as well, as I mentioned before, and like a broken clock that's right twice a day. I think that the Steelers are going to eventually get it right on offense and get a game where we're not having to take some, heart pressure medicine or high blood pressure medicine.
I just miss having a game, man, where you can just take it easy, right? You can take it easy. Things are clicking, stuff like that. I can't remember the last time that happened. You're not going to get that every week, but I think that's really just the main thing more people want to see is just more things getting put together throughout the game, not just in one quarter, right? That's what I think that's really what we all want to see. But shout out to all you guys in the chat, man. Always good to see you guys who are here weekly. Those who are new, welcome. We appreciate you guys. Mark, we will let you know next time. Next Wednesday will be on my channel. We'll let you know the time. But Steelers fan, Randy coming in, Claudia Ragu coming in, Steelers freak, Jared Devil, of course, Claude, Mr. Malvo, appreciate you tuning in, putting your thoughts and everything in the comment section. Angel, appreciate you. Gene. So everybody, anybody else I did not mention, you guys are all involved in that because you guys are here every week. And we always like seeing you guys. We appreciate your thoughts and your input on everything because you guys are part of the show as well. And we appreciate that. But next show will be on my channel next Wednesday. Just kind of keep up with the notifications because we're not really exactly sure what time that will be. But Mark Steeler Nation Australia should be back on the show next week as we'll talk about the Steelers Bengals. We'll do a little recap of whatever happened Sunday. But yeah, hopefully that they're 7-3 by the end of the week. So we'll see.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And for those that are wondering, Mason ended up winning the poll 86% to 13% as far as if Kenny Pickett didn't play, for whatever reason, injury, benching, whatever. Would you rather see Mason or Mitch? From the fans, at least. It comes to Mason. Well, I appreciate you guys. We'll be back next week. I think I'm going to do another film breakdown, probably on Broderick Jones. What the hell's wrong with me? Broderick Jones and the Steelers offensive. Yeah, I'm just calling weeks and years and Jarvis, Broderick, and the whole 9 yards today.
Dude,
man.
You've endured almost 3 months of Steelers football, man. It's going to happen.
It sure is. We'll see you next time. Steelers are going to go 7-3. I can almost guarantee it. Peace.